Hello everybody, welcome back to another DLC Spotlight. Today we're going to be taking a look at the London to Faversham route on Train Simulator 2018. It also includes the Class 395 High Speed rail. This is possibly, I think, a part of High Speed 1. And we're going to be taking a look at the interiors of the locomotive as well today, and both that and the route from a driver's point of view. So just trying to get it set up at the minute, put it forward, and checking everything, set the alarm off, and just waiting for the passengers to board the train. Now, the first thing with that is, again, the limited rotation of the camera, and a little bit of a nice horn as well. And we've got the attachments there by pressing the B key, so that means there is no second horn. So we're going to try and get going now. With some power and not going anywhere. We're going through everything that could be wrong. And I've just opened the doors again. Okay. Which doesn't make much sense, seeing as it says doors close, or door close when it opens them. Never mind. So as you can see, there's there are quite a few buttons in there, and got a little reading light to brighten up the cab a little bit. So we've got some fan controls as well, some temperature controls, and regarding the two methods that this locomotive can be powered from. Now this can be powered two ways, both of which are by electricity, but one is through the pantograph on the top of the locomotive, and the other one is by the shoes for a third rail system, which is needed a lot more outside of London and heading towards Faversham. So again, just still trying to find out just what I've managed to do or not do in terms of setting up this locomotive for use. And I will be honest, it does take me quite a while trying to find out, but I think I found the issue. And I'm commenting over this after recording the footage. I haven't had a bit of... Okay, never mind. I've literally just watched... Okay. There's an alarm going off as well. I don't know what that is either. So it's... I never actually understood what I was doing wrong. It does look beautiful, by the way. It sounds really nice as well, but we'll get onto that in a minute. So, yeah, this is it's one of the newer locomotives to grace Britain's rails, aside from the Class 801 or 800 series, I believe. But yeah, we haven't got that much detailing on the roof. On the top of the locomotive, on the top of the EMU. Try to find the correct term for that there. There we go. And the AWS reset doesn't work. Neither does the emergency brake, but we're not moving, so we don't need that. But yeah, so we've got a little bit of venting for the electrical system, and also the pantographs as well. Pantographs are kind of like a standard thing, so there isn't going to be much variation, if any at all, between say this one and the 390, the Pendolino that's normally seen on. Trying to back it up for some reason just to see if it'll work going backwards. But there we go. I don't know if I haven't set anything in the opposite cab though. That thought's just coming to me. I don't think so. I don't think you'd have to set anything specific for that. But for once we've got a working screen. On some of the UK locomotive sets, especially for the electric ones, you don't see that many operating screens. On a few third-party ones you do, but not on the ones made by Dovetail Games, I'm afraid. I mean, this is quite a fairly old one. I believe this came out for Train Sim 2016 or 2017. So it does have a bit of age to it, but it doesn't feel out of place, if you know what I mean. I mean, we had the screen on the right hand side that said no image expected. There it is. I don't actually know what that's for. If you just bear with while I try and figure out. Yeah, there is a two-tone horn, but you cannot use a keyboard for it. It's only the space for the high horn, as is default on a lot of these, and yeah, I find the wipers. Of course I do. Very squeaky though. So that does get a bit annoying, and I was about to go around and try and move the camera with my mouse, which, not really possible, but there you go. So, in that failed attempt to try and get the locomotive started, I believe I had this as a quick drive. So I had to set the loco up myself. Oh no, it was a scenario, and then we've got the speed limits on there. So we're gonna switch. So we're back. We're not in St Pancras anymore. We're actually on Faversham 1. Now, as you can see, there's no catenaries above, no overhead wires, but there is a third rail system. So this is another way that you can do this. Now, this is a quick drive scenario because it did not have any setups for when I loaded the scenario. So it is a quick drive going from Faversham to London St Pancras, and just showing the electrical connections there for any of the locomotive. Again, I do like the fact that it's animated like that. That's pretty nice. Although I would have liked the B key to be for the two-tone horn, because it makes a little bit more sense. It's more conventional with some of the other pieces of DLC that are out there. So I've loaded the passengers just because I wanted to, and we're actually moving this time. So we get a nice little whine from the electric motors, which is pretty cool. And we get a bit of the horn as well. So all is good. Just move my microphone a little bit. There we go. Yeah, so all is good. We do get quite a bit of the old flange squeal on the rails. Around going up to the corner I can understand, but not so much on the platform, as it were, which confuses me a little bit, but I can live with that. It's fine. Yeah, as we've got another one going by. I don't know if is that a 12? No, that's a 6 car. So they come in 6 car consists, I believe is the right term. I don't know if that still applies for the UK, but there we go. So yeah, we've got, as we're pulling out, we've got quite a few houses on the left and the right. And we'll look maybe a factory. As we're looking around the cab again, we've got the maximum speed limits for like Network Rail and CTRL. Some of you may recognise that, but we've got the no image expected here off this time, so I thought I'd try and have a play with it, see if I could get anything to pop up on the screen, and the answer to that was no. We haven't got an analog speedometer on this, I believe, but we have got a passenger view. It is quite nice. And then, of course, we have the very, very old railsimulator.com website, along with 2 biscuits and a coffee cup, which, let's face it, those biscuits won't ever fit in that coffee cup with that lid on. You'd have to take the lid off. But no, as you can see, we have only a digital speedometer. That makes it a little bit easier for certain sections of the route, which we will see later. And of course we've got the destination boards on the front and side as we're climbing up. I tried to play with the buttons on the speedometer as well. So we've got the brake pressure gauge, and then I believe we have the power as well. But yeah, as you can see there, playing a little bit with the throttle, and we've got a working screen including the time, how much power we're putting into it, and how much braking force we have on the locomotive. It is quite a small window, I will say that. Looking at it, it is fairly small. And once again, no different from any other time I'm speeding. It's only when I'm really, really concentrating, and at that point I just don't talk, that I can not speed. But as we go through the consist, I believe we've got a 5 unit a 5-car unit. So yeah, we've got the different connections as well. They are pretty cool. And then we've got the connection in between the two locomotives as well. Still staying pretty solid, but there's no corners to see if it'll move to the left or right of the opening it allows for it. But never mind. We do have a bit of detail on the back as well, on the back of the cars, for like electrical connections and the braking system as well. And I do believe this one tilts as well as it goes around the corner. So we come across another crossing. There's quite a few in the, I would say rural area, but I don't know how it is. But I will tell you something, this thing does shift. Oh my days, it's, the speed of this thing is absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, we've got quite a little bit of, we've got working crossings there, we've got a little bit of foliage around. But I mean, as you can see there from the, from like the driver's cab, it's, you can see as much as you need to really. You can see the track, you can see the signals, see the speed signs, and then you've got a little bit of decoration around the side. It would be a little, again, it would be a little bit nicer if they opened it up a little bit more and just added a tiny little bit more, just try and give it a little bit more substance. I think have I given up with the speeding? No. I was changing to new speed limits as a, I don't actually know what class that is. It's not a 380. Because that's the Zeros that are in Scotland for ScotRail, as we blast through a platform at nearly 100 miles an hour. Oh yeah, this is where I basically said fuck it and just started going for it because it said the maximum speed. So I was like, how fast can I go without crashing? Or how fast can I go? Like, how fast do I dare go? That was more my thinking on this one. But yeah, the third rail system, it makes everything pretty clean. Makes the trackside pretty clean, so I do quite like that. I do like the sounds on this as well. You get the nice little whine and the rolling sounds from the wheels as well. The AWS bell difference, that's quite nice away from the normal that's just blaring in your face if you have a class 125 or any steam train, because I believe they have the same alarm. So it's something that's just a little bit nicer than what we used to. I do apologise for my chair squeaking. I am planning to replace it soon. So yeah, we're up to mainline speed. I'm going to be shooting through Sittingbourne at around 120, but yeah, this thing doesn't sit around at all. It absolutely flies, and I mean, if you're doing a scenario, that's pretty cool. I mean, I probably love to drive one of these things, but of course I can't because I'm colourblind. But anyway, we've got some signings off to the right hand side which aren't powered by the third rail, so it is a wonder how they get them in there. But yeah, so sitting on the platform and just watching this thing absolutely fly through. 20 miles, oh, that's nearly 30 miles an hour faster than we should be going, but it's fine. I mean, there's usually like a tolerance anyway, so it's fine. I'm not sure if I read on the rear of the train as to how much that was. Yeah, I saw the 70 mile an hour limit, and I was like, I should probably slow down. But yeah, I do like the digital speedometer, especially below the I want to say like checkerboard thing, but it's not so much checkerboard, is it? It's like just like the inset squares. Some of you may recognize that from the TGV locomotive, I think, like the TGV Marseille route. So yeah, you may recognize that for certain purposes, and I pressed B again. Again, it's force of habit to do that. I mean, there's a few buttons on the keyboard that aren't used, especially if there's no advanced scripting for the locomotive that could be used instead. So, I mean, on this one, there's no cylinder cocks, so C could be available. Whereas on a steam locomotive, it would let the cylinder cocks drain. But on electric locomotive, you don't need that. It does look pretty nice in that livery, though. I do quite like the livery. I don't know if they've changed it since. I think they might still have it. But yeah, it does say Southeastern High Speed. Yeah, I said before I think this is HST1. So you can go pretty fast. I think this is one of the fastest routes you can go on. Like the actual speed limit without speeding. But we all know how that'll do. I didn't actually speed at one point because otherwise it'd just stop. Well, I think it did stop actually. But yeah, I was getting a little bit cautious around here because of the speed limits, I was like, probably should slow down. But yeah, coming through a station on the fast up, I think it would be called. It's up through. They need to work on their spelling. Jesus. But yeah, so got a lot of trees around here. A lot of the same. I mean, I can understand a lot of the same trees. Probably planted them in like the same, but just get a lot of trees, all the same, just plant more. Got some greenhouses. But yeah, I mean, looking through that right side window, you can see the edges of the landscape where they are a little bit bare. So that might be something to think about. And I don't think I encountered any issues on the tracks either, like the terrain being uneven with the tracks. But the four lines are so close together that anything like that would not be visible. At least from where I was looking, unless you look at the side. So, all is good there. Still speeding, again giving it the beans. That's bugging me what class that is. Is it a 365? Don't know. I'm gonna kick myself for this at some point. But yeah, I mean the cab itself is fairly busy, but it doesn't need that much attention for a lot of it because a lot of it is just there for. I mean, a lot of the switches are there for aesthetics purposes more than functionality. I mean, I would like a little bit more functionality, but I'd probably get confused as hell as to what they do. So, it's a blessing and a curse. It's a curse because they don't work, so you can't find out what they do. But it is a blessing because then, if you're like me and you prefer steam locomotives to anything else, it doesn't confuse you. Although I'm pretty sure I think these are supposed to be simpler than steam locomotives. I mean, you only need one person in the cab, so that's a bonus, I guess. Although there's all the debates and strikes about like conductors and things like that on trains. It's like, well, you only need one person. I have an opinion on that, but I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna leave that alone. But yeah, the route is very filled out. In the immediate area, so it's not as obvious where. It's not as obvious where they've like left out some of the scenery for the sake of performance or memory or something like that. In terms of performance on the route, I did get pretty good frame rate. I don't think it dropped below 50. And I mean, for something that runs on, it's a 32-bit application with a fairly large route in it. I don't think it did too bad. There is that little issue though of the level crossing not being implemented properly, so a car just literally drove straight through my train, which would be death for the car, I think. Especially, well, I'm going 60 mile an hour, so yeah, going through Gillingham. That's poor camera work by me. But yeah, some other stations are really nice. And then we've just got a tunnel which will bring us out into Chatham Station. And of course I speed up to max line speed. It's so easy to do that in electric trains, it really is. That's my problem though. It's like, oh, the reading light does come in handy. Even though it's a reading light, it should probably just be called cab light, because it's at the top and gives you a chance for everything. I'm turning that off because we don't need it. Because the sun is out today. The sun's been out today in the real world, funnily enough. Oh, I remember this. I was very cautious about this because it looks sharper than it is. It looks sharper than it is from the cab, so I was like, I'm gonna be very, very careful here. So it wasn't too bad. Yeah, we got quite a bit of scenery around in terms of like it was a couple of like high flats, a lot of terraced houses, and just like roads and streets and things like that. But again, I mean, you can see the edges. You can see the edges of the map sometimes. But I mean, if you come into a view like this, it's pretty nice. I mean, you can see things in the background that are a fair distance away. You got like trees everywhere and everything like that. So going down to 30 miles an hour for some reason, I don't understand why. Possibly because of the sharp turns. But I mean, it genuinely depends on how much you it depends on how fast you want to go, really. But the cab is quite gloomy. It is a nice feel. I do like the shadow work and the shading when the light's on though. And the plastic in the cab does look a little bit better. A little bit of a freeze there. I'm not sure as to why. I don't know whether that comes out on the video, but just on the playback, it we'll ignore that. We all know I'm a bit of a pain in the ass for that. Just taking screenshots because I'm professional. That is debatable. But yeah, there is a point on the line somewhere that, I mean, it does say that the ETA is 11:30 at night, and I'm 33 miles away. I didn't understand that, so possibly an issue with the quick drive. I mean, with how much I was speeding, it didn't matter that much. Just wondering if I'm going to go into the cab now, or I'm just going to have a look around the locomotive. But yeah, I could definitely see me doing more scenarios on this because I did quite like it. But yeah, there we go. If you look straight out, you can just see the top. Still got the side cab view, which I think on some trains, especially this one, where you can't open the windows, it should be removed. But yeah, so you can see that you can just see the hills there, and there's not really much on them. So it's a little bit disappointing to see that. I mean, it is fairly open with like the river and the bridge and the houses in the background, but you can still see the landscape at the back. So that is a little bit of a disappointment there. So as we head towards Strood 2, limit goes down to 15 miles an hour. And if I don't know why I tried to get it within the confines of the bridge construction, but there we go. But yeah, I mean, the vents on the top are more or less standard for any electric locomotive now. I believe the local light rail system around where I live has them as well. I think I know why now it's so slow, and I believe I'm going to stop here as well, just for a little change. And I didn't actually know if I'd got this right while I was in the cab. I had to basically just do the orbit view, which is basically if you just press number 2, you can orbit the train and have a look around. I had to have a look just to see if I got it right, because my record with these kind of trains is not that good. I remember going down the West Coast Main Line and I basically just turned off the pantograph, and I was like, why do I have no power? and then I went down a line that had no overhead wires, so I basically had to let the locomotive and the consist roll all the way back. Am I not going to stop on this one? Okay, not going to stop on this one. It's 15 miles an hour, but that is a sharp turn, without a doubt, and they look like exhaust pipes for some reason. I don't know why that would have exhaust pipes at all, really, but I'm doing a lot of yawning today. I'll do it. I don't know what it says on some of them. I believe that says Faversham, no, Ashford International. So it does have destination boards. They may not be right, but it has destination boards. There's one that you can program, and I can't remember which one it is. Oh, I've got it, but I can't remember. Is it the 142 from Armstrong Powerhouse, I think? Yeah, I think it is the 142. I will have to go back and look at some of them. I don't know what that alarm is though. I believe it's a speed warning. Because it doesn't sound like the AWS, and it pops up. It does crop up a little bit, even when I'm at high speed. When there's no issues with the limit at all, but a quick hit of the AWS just is like, okay, you're off now. So I do believe it. Oh, I found that camera. That's basically like, I love that. That's like a CCTV one, and it's like if you go to that, it just looks like, and you start playing with the controls. It's basically like a ghost is running the train. It's brilliant. Look at that. This is like, you power up, it just looks like a ghost is driving, and it's absolutely amazing. I love that. The chair just seem a little bit far back though. Looking at it now, it does seem a little bit far back for the controls. But yeah, I do like that view. It's like CCTV, and this was just me just pissing about while I was going through a tunnel, because I mean there's not much really to watch, and then we've got the standard step up just to have a little bit of an extra look. I don't know what they're looking at to get that view, but it's there for you to use for some reason. Okay, but yeah, I mean I didn't have any frame rate issues really at all. Oh yeah, I just basically said, fuck it again. I mean, it's a straight line. I'm not gonna crash, even if I am speeding. I did hear that alarm again, but I don't know what it was. Because if it's green, you'll hear that little bong, won't you? But I don't know. Yeah, I just looked up and it's like 100 miles an hour. Nah, I'm alright, thanks. Which I did find quite funny, because I always look up on these things and see what the maximum speed is, and then if I've got enough track, I will just go and beat it so easily. I mean, I've already topped 100. When the maximum you're allowed on most network rail is 125, and the maximum this train is allowed to go, as you saw on that sticker, is 140. And I believe High Speed 2 is going to be able to do 150. I think they said it might go even faster. I can't remember. But 150 is what they use in America for a lot of their high-speed trains, like the Amtrak Acela high-speed rail service. That goes 150 miles an hour quite often. Yeah, we've got quite a bit of a junction there. Again, there's no third rail or overhead lines for that. And I think I started taking a bit more interest of what was actually going on around. But yeah, nearly doubling the speed limit now. Literally just because I could. Am I going to press 8 here and just watch it? Yeah. Press 8 and just watch it just sod off. 140, we're doing twice the speed limit on a straight bit of track. I don't see any harm in that. I mean, you can get into serious trouble for that, but yeah, just look up. It's like 140. I've beat that. I'm still going up actually, but I did just look at, yeah, I did get a little bit concerned about the 50 mile an hour speed limit, and I was a bit concerned the fact that I wasn't slowing down as quickly as I would have hoped I would from 140 miles an hour. Who would have guessed? Certainly not me. But there you go. So yeah, I'm doing just over twice the speed limit. I mean, you can go 10 to 20 miles an hour over the speed limit, maybe even 30 sometimes, depending on the radius of the curve. But twice the speed limit on when it's supposed to be like 50, I don't usually like the idea of that, so I put the brakes on even more because the speed limit was 30, and again, doing twice the speed limit, I'm not comfortable with that. I think I started to back off when it was about 50, because that's not too bad. I mean, these things can handle speeding a little bit better because they can turn, they can tilt, so they can lean into the curve a little bit more. But that's not to say they're just like impervious to physics. At some point there will be a point where the tilting just won't be enough and the train will get thrown on its side. I don't know if a tilting train has ever dug into the ground though. We've got two double yellows, I believe, or is that just the one? No, that's the two. So either we're going to get a single flashing yellow, which means stop at the next signal, or prepare to stop. See, I can never remember which one's which. We got the flashing double yellows, which is be prepared, I think, and then you've got the flashing single yellow, and then the solid single yellow. And I can't remember which one of the single yellows is be prepared to stop at the next signal, and then which one's stop at the next signal. We've got a single yellow there. We've got Ebbsfleet International coming up on us, checking Steam for some reason. Either that, or I've tried to... That's the thing, it's a bad habit when it's on Steam. I mean, it's the only way you can get it, but like trying to check if I can pass the signal at danger, which is SPAD, or signal pass at danger, if you want to not be weird like myself. You just press tab, but I keep thinking it's shift tab, because to get the cab view, it's shift and number 2, but it just screws with me. But we've got some catenaries coming up, so I know we would definitely be stopping at this station to change over from third rail as we take a left. I don't know what... Did I see what was to the right? I don't remember. I wanted to know where that other piece of track went though, like the one going under that little bridge. I don't know whether it joins up to it. Yes, it does. Right, so that's going the other way. I didn't look where the other one went actually, and I kind of want to know now. I think my nose is starting to block. You can probably hear it in my voice, but never mind. So we're coming up on noon, and we're at Ebbsfleet International. So I have a look for the right buttons. You can see the mountain of buttons on the left hand side. Whereas on the right hand side, you just got 2 TV screens. I mean, you could be watching like Netflix, or you could be watching YouTube. Yeah, you could be watching one of these on YouTube. A video about a train on a train. How about that? But yeah, so we've got a lot of lines coming from over there, and the overhead as well. So what I decided to do was, as soon as I had the opportunity to swap over, because I already saw on the other side there was the catenaries at the other end of the line, I was going to switch over now at the first opportunity so that I didn't have to worry about it later. I don't know if they actually do this, or they go as far as the third rails will carry them and then they'll put the pantograph up. I'd imagine they'd put it up as soon as they could, like I'm doing. I was trying to stop at the 12 car stop as best I could. Yeah, so looking at all them buttons, there's some that have lifts, like little things on. So I put pan up, shoes down, and just checking both ends to see if the canaries have gone up. Again, looking for all the buttons. Press CTRL, that doesn't do much. Now I get the feeling that's what turned the speedometer into... See, now what I've done is... I haven't done anything. So we've got the pantographs up now, but you'll have noticed on the far left of the front panel that a light came on and then went off. I don't know what that actually did. But yeah, I click CTRL and now it's in kilometers per hour. Like the digital speedo. I didn't understand why it was in kilometers an hour. But I thought that was something to do with what I believe is about to come to. I still think I've got them on the wrong setting. Yeah, so as you can see, we're doing 40 miles an hour or 65 kilometers per hour. So we've got a little bit of a comparison there, but we are coming up to a tunnel, and 80 has come up on the board. Now this is something that was evident on the Marseille route to Avignon. That's the one, Marseille to Avignon. So CTRL is the system that uses to set certain speed limits, and it gives you forewarning. That's what I do like about this. It gives you a warning of what it will be going to. And I believe that is in kilometers per hour, the one in the boxes. So I do have the miles per hour on the bottom bar. As I zoom out, I literally just go in and watch my train disappear. So it's going up to 100 kilometers per hour. And on the speedo as well, there's a little arrow, and it tells you whether you're accelerating or decelerating, which is pretty cool. And then we have a set speed limit there. So 225 kilometers an hour, 140 mile an hour. I've still got the brakes on as I'm going downhill, but I'm still accelerating. I'm on like the minimum setting, so not too much. Not too much to like just go. Yeah, I wondered if that was something to do with like a cruise control setting, which I do believe some trains actually have. But I can't remember. I think I've seen it on one. The amount of things I think I've seen on DLC in this game is quite funny, I think. But yeah, so I am a little bit glad I did change it to, looking back at it now, I'm glad I changed it to CTRL for the speedo, because it helps a little bit better because it's in the cab and you can see it a little bit better. So it does help a little bit more. I mean, we're coming up on 140 kilometers an hour already, which should be around 85, 86, something like that. Yeah, so what would 70 miles an hour be? Would be, I don't know, 90 kilometers an hour? I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's, with me, it's, I can never get it right. I know 50 kilometers an hour is 30 miles an hour. I forgot the other one. What was the other one? I think 80 kilometers an hour is 50 miles an hour. I think. Because it's not equal, so it's like 100 kilometers an hour would not be 60. Or is it? I think it is, actually. Again, I can never remember. Because, like, if I'm ever driving a car, it's just there, so I don't need to work it out. I can't remember when I've needed to work it out without looking at a speedo, actually. Not that often, I don't think. Which, I mean, it's good for me, because less work, am I right? But no, wow. Looking at the... We're on 40 minutes. Christ. This is going to be a long one. But I did go the entire length of the route, so you can see all of it. And as we come out of the tunnel, we're still on the CTRL system, so we can still go a maximum 140 miles an hour, which is pretty quick, to be honest. I mean, you can go 125 on East Coast Main Line, West Coast Main Line. I don't know about like the Western Main Lines, like what is now where GWR operates, which used to be First Great Western, but I like the fact they've changed it back to GWR, which is quite nice. But yeah, you can just see how fast like the catenary pillars are going by. It's absolutely amazing. It is quite fun to do 140 miles an hour when you're allowed to. Because it's just like, this is actually, I'm allowed to do this. I think I did go above 140 just to see how fast I could go, because that's what happens when I play Train Simulator. I literally look at the speed limit and it's like, how much faster could I go? I bet there's a few of you out there who do the same as well. So there's that. Come on. I'm just watching it now, waiting for it to hit 140. But there's nothing ever came on those screens, so I don't know what they're actually used for. So if any of you guys know, feel free to drop it in the comments. Did I stop applying power? I don't think so. But yeah, it doesn't matter in quick drive because it doesn't punish me for it. It's like if I'm doing a career, I will stop speeding because it'll take points off me. Because I'm just that picky. I have to have nothing flashing at me. Although I don't know why it's gone back down. I'm going into another tunnel. The tunnels are pretty good because this is what I imagine the Channel Tunnel is like. I mean, I've only ever been outside of the UK once, and I went on a plane. Biggest kick up my ass. Yeah, there was no one else in my coach actually. The reservation boards weren't working either. So, I mean, I wish you could add something to that. Like, you could type in which ones. I mean, I do try and play with like the radio on every single locomotive I get into that has a radio. It's like if it's diesel and it's got a radio, I must play with the radio. I just have to. I don't know why I started slowing down there, to be honest. But I guess that's a thing, I suppose. Yeah, I can't remember when I recorded this. I mean, I think it's... better. I mean, I feel like me recording this way is a little bit easier for me at the minute, especially with work and my general health in all, because you see the things flashing now, so that means it's going to change, and I believe the warning comes as diamonds instead, like highlighting the fact that it's flashing 225, which means it will be decreasing. And there you go, that is what it will be decreasing to. And I only figured this out while I was doing this. And I believe it will change to another one in a minute. Yeah, so we've got 200, then we've got 170. And that is what happens when you don't listen. The system itself will stop you, which does annoy me because what I don't understand is how long you have to slow down to it. We've got another one at 130, just as we come up to Stratford International. We're about 8 miles out of St Pancras in London. which St Pancras is the one that's taken over the international services for the UK going through the Channel Tunnel. But we also have, well, we used to have Waterloo. Yeah, you can hear all the motors piling down, powering down. Sorry, that's my bad English. I managed to figure out what was causing it. It's if you manually put the power handle in emergency brake and then pull it off, it will reset the brake system. Then you can start applying power again. Either that or it reaches a certain point and then the brakes will just automatically release. Again, I'm not fully up to speed on the CTRL system, but I probably should, because I do quite like it, if I'm honest. Yeah, as soon as there we go, 80 kilometers an hour is 50 miles an hour. So about 100 is 60, yeah. 100 kilometers an hour is 60. But yeah, so we've got the set speed limit there. And then at some point it will be back to 140. You can see it still says 140 on the HUD on the bottom of the screen, but the CTRL system will not let you do that, which is very clever. But I think they need to update the HUD for that as well. I mean, they need to update a few things. I was running like Flying Scotsman from Newcastle to Darlington, I believe, and it still had the sounds from Tornado, which is a little bit of a shame because Flying Scotsman's out and about on the rails again. So it's like, could you not redo them, update the model, please? But I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be doing something like that for Train Sim World. There are 2 packs for Train Sim World I don't have. But they haven't taken my fancy as of yet. Considering what the Great Western Main Line one provided, which was 2 trains and a route that doesn't go as far as the one on Train Sim does, for 25 quid, it's still, I feel it's still a little bit steep. So, in terms of content on the 2 new packs, at the minute, I will not be doing it. If they do happen to be in a sale at a what I would consider a decent price, then I may get them, but I cannot promise anything. I've been looking at the American one as well, the Northeast Corridor. I have that on here, but I don't go on it as much as I probably should. I mean, you've got the AEM7 electric locomotive and the Acela Express as well. They've since changed that. Someone commented about 6 months ago that they couldn't find it anymore. So of course I tried to find the link for it and it had disappeared. The link I'd put linked to a different piece of DLC. I mean, it still includes everything in there, but they've just updated the package to include a little bit more of the Northeast Corridor, which I think is great, but it's still a little bit annoying. Just try and keep things as up to date as you can. I mean, Dovetail are a little bit bad for that. They're a little bit guilty of not keeping things up to date. I mean, any updates, I don't think there's been an update for Train Sim for a while now, so it seems as though a lot more of the work is going into Train Sim World now that they've got that set, and they've got all the programming for that done, aside from like steam locomotives, which I cannot fucking wait for. Oh my god. It's going to be something that's probably, I mean, Train Sim is probably going to be gone fairly soon. I mean, I'd probably give it a couple of years, at least, because if you look at all the DLC on Steam, it's over £4,000. I don't know what that is in your relative currency, but it's a lot of money for DLC, especially because some of it is quite outdated, considering a lot of the more recent DLC which I think they need to go back and look at, even if it's just small things that need to be done to it. I still think it's worth it because it enhances the user experience. You're going to get a lot more playtime out of it, which is always good for the company as well. But it's something that's possibly a bit of a far-fetched wish at this point, as is like the 64-bit application for Train Sim. I believe Train Sim World is 64-bit, but because it uses Unreal Engine, they kind of cancel each other out. So the 64-bit allows for a lot more memory to be used, but the fact that it's using Unreal, the processing power required goes up and the performance levels out. So I mean, I do get similar performance on this. This is probably a little bit smoother in terms of like the on screen when you look at it, but that's just me. CTRL's gone off on the I guess you can call it a dashboard. I don't really want to because it seems a bit weird to call it a dashboard, but there you go. Got 2 solid yellows and then a green, so we've got another one pulling out, and coming out of there, it's a little bit barren actually, which is something I didn't actually expect. I expected like St Pancras, it's in London, it's got loads of stuff, but of course I don't actually know where St Pancras is in London, so it might be a little bit further out. You could probably get a train there, get a train to get a train. That's how public transport works these days. But you can see on the bottom left of the hood it says International 13. We've got a yellow signal with a little white box, a direction box, and that says 13. So that's the platform we're going to be going into. I like it. It does get clearer as you get closer, so that's pretty nice. There's a lot of tracks, but you can see London's slowly coming into view now as we make our way over to platform number 13. It is really big though. I do like the look of it. This is the platform we tried to start from at the start of this video. And of course we're just going to be switching over to the track for International 13. But other than that, guys, I would like to thank you guys very much for watching this very long video. Oh my god. If you did like the video, feel free to give it a like. If you want more of this content as and when it comes out, hit the subscribe button. If you've got any ideas of what you would like to see on my channel in the future, then please feel free to comment below. Or if you have opinions of your own of what I could do to improve, or you've got certain bits of info that you'd like to share, again, feel free to put it in the comments. But other than that, I'd like to thank you guys very much for watching as we pull very smoothly into St Pancras in London on the London to Faversham route. Links will be in the description. I will see you guys next time.